Hi, welcome to White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, and today I'm going to review the film The Brothers Grimm, which came out in 2005. Stars Matt Damon. Let's see here: Heath Ledger, Peter Stormare, Lita Headley, Jonathan Pryce, Monica Bellucci, and it's directed by Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame. I honestly I can't even watch this film. It is such a mess. And I understand when I first saw circa 2005, 2006, I was already in my 20s. I'm coming up on 40 in a few weeks. This movie's not for me. It's not. I'm not the intended audience. I'm not the demographic they're going for. This is probably for more younger kids, people who enjoy fantasy films that I don't, something like that. But it's set in 1796, where the French had conquered his. This isn't covered in the film that I'm aware of, but the French had conquered the Prussian Empire, which is Germany. We refer to today as Germany, and there's a village in Germany, rural Germany, that's having problems with missing kids and stuff. And um, this film takes things like Little Red Riding Hood and the different stories, kind of from that time and that era and that place in the world, and throwing the Brothers Grimm, the famous kind of crime fighter brother duo, only they're going after the supernatural. And it combines all these different stories from history, and they have to defeat the bad guys and get the girls, and that's what happens. And Jonathan Pryce is in there. So Matt Damon and Heath Ledger play the Brothers Grimm. Heath Ledger is Jacob, and I think the other guy's Charlie or something. And in the first act, they go into this village and they fight this witch. That one of the villagers witnesses all this, but they're putting on a show, and it's all done by polies and effects. They're con artists, and that's how they make their living. But Jacob, played by Heath Ledger, wants to do more with his life, and then what was it? Matt Damon's character is just happy doing what he's doing and making money. And they come from a unfortunate family circumstance that gets briefly covered. They grew up in poverty, and they're tight brothers, but they have that conflict of they want different things. And then they get captured by Peter Stormare, who plays Johnny Jerkoff or somebody, I don't remember. Who I think he's supposed to be Italian, an Italian guy. He's kind of like a mercenary or something, and hired by somebody to bring them in. And then the French general, played by Jonathan Pryce, wants them to go to this village and handle this situation with the missing kids. And the kids are being abducted. There's it's ultimately the witch who's the fairest of them all. She's behind the whole thing. And it's 2005, and I remember seeing this back in the day and not thinking too much that the effects weren't that bad, but watching it now, it's like, yikes, some of the effects are awful. But I'm also watching this probably on a downloaded Blu-ray video, so that might be that. Maybe if I watched on an old box screen, it would look fine. I don't know. But Matt Damon doesn't he when Matt Damon's doing Good Will Hunting and Jason Bourne and that kind of stuff, when he's in his strength, he's a phenomenal actor. He's really good. He's out of his depth a bit here, and he's not bad, but he's playing a guy who's supposed to be English. He doesn't quite have the body posture and the mannerisms and that English vibe. Feels like an American doing an English accent. Heath Ledger, who's Australian, is doing an English accent, doing a much better job with it, but that makes sense. There's scenes that work better and worse, and the two play off each other well. I feel this is a good pairing generically. It's two guys in 2005 who are still young. They were established, but not yet, let's say, meteoric huge stars. They were still coming up a bit, and it's interesting to see them work together. And it's a tragedy that Heath Ledger's passed away and all that kind of stuff. And so it's nice to go back and revisit his work a bit. Um, they're not really the issue. Matt Damon's not great in what he's doing. He's not nails on a chalkboard, but he's just not great. And the film kind of needed them both to be, and they were both kind of just middling. Heath Ledger doing a better job with it. Peter Stormare comes in. Of Matt Damon, Heath Ledger, Peter Stormare, Jonathan Pryce. I'm a fan of all four. They've done a lot of good work, all of them. Peter Stormare's character is just annoying. And this is a film where you're trying to hit market. So you're trying to hit the fantasy market, bit action, and more for younger kids, but also something there for the adults who have to babysit the kids and watch this movie. And they bring in Peter Stormare and Matt Damon and Heath Ledger at points fall in love with girls, different girls in the story. So that's there more for the adults. Peter Stormare, I imagine, is for like the little kids. He's so goofy and over the top. You're supposed to get a laugh at that guy, I'm thinking. He's annoying as hell. He's just unbearably annoying. Jonathan Pryce, playing a French general, is supposed to be levity, I should think. And it's insulting. And I have no love for the French. But I have a degree of respect for militaries and what they had to go through, and this is just insulting. It's just Terry Gilliam has a very hit and miss sensibilities. 12 Monkeys was great. I'm gonna have to look up all his work. There was another one with a bunch of pipes in it. Jonathan Pryce was in that. He's worked with Jonathan Pryce before, and I didn't get that one. But when Terry Gilliam hits, he hits, and it's solid. When he misses, oof, it's a rough miss. Very Ridley Scott. He's not always on. But this is a miss. There's a combination of tone and concepts and characters that you're taking Little Red Riding Hood and you're taking the Big Bad Wolf and you're taking all these story elements, trying to put them all together, coupled with the politics that was happening in time with the Napoleonic Wars, and then the Brothers Grimm, and mix it all, and the recipe just doesn't mix. It's not the worst effort had it. I can see what he was trying to do, and I respect what they were trying to pull off, but man, it just don't work. Let's take chili and let's take, get some pizza based this stuff. Mix it together, it don't work. So for some people, pineapples and pizza. Pineapples on pizza. Why? But my dad loves this stuff. So this is something that might work for some people. This does not work for me. I couldn't finish it. And I tried. It's just, and it's one of those films where it's very much like Horton Hears a Who. Every 5 minutes, you have some annoying obstacle, almost like a video game. You get to the boss, the big boss of that stage, and instead of it being engaging and whimsical and fun, and it just depressing. I don't know, it just didn't work for me. So I can't really, in technical execution, the tech was a bit dated, but again, if I watched it on the television that it was designed to be seen on, it probably looked fine. I don't remember the visuals being bad at the time, but I was watching it on a box TV, so watching on my laptop, maybe that's the issue. But technically, it's fine. It looks fine. It's very Terry Gilliam. It's very chaotic. Terry Gilliam's known for having that kind of chaotic energy in his films, but the elements don't mesh. That's the best I can tell you. So the acting is fine, generically, though it doesn't always work in this story, or assemblage of stories. So technical elements are fine. Acting is fine. Score, I don't remember it, but it wasn't bad. just the narrative as a whole didn't come together. There are some elements I liked. I like some of the back and forth between Matt Damon and Heath Ledger. I enjoyed. I like Heath Ledger a lot. Matt Damon not giving a bad performance. He's just out of place. He doesn't feel like he belongs in this world. Heath Ledger feels like he belongs in this world. His character, his performance lives here. Matt Damon's like got pulled out of another movie and popped in here, and doesn't work. But also too, man, there's a lot of stuff where like there's a lot of bugs and toads and the things that you would find in these fairy tales. That's what the word I was looking for earlier, fairy tales. So if you're an 8-year-old kid, you're like, ew, it's a toad. And I'm watching this going, fuck. It's kissing a toad. Okay. All right. Just didn't do it for me. So it's, again, somebody else might really appreciate this. I haven't looked up Rotten Tomatoes and that stuff, and this is from 15 years ago. Before that was really skewed, where you got an actual accurate number of what accurate sense of what the audience felt. But this is aimed for younger kids, at least. It's very like Pirates of the Caribbean. You got something for the love interest for the girls to enjoy, and the actiony stuff for the guys, and then you got the little monkey for the little kids, and it's trying to blend those elements in a chaotic Terry Gilliam style that hasn't come together at any point in the film or sustained throughout the film. I just didn't care for it. So I wish I could tell you more, but I like it. So I'm interested to hear what people had to say and what their thoughts on the Brothers Grimm if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, I would still say check it out because it might work for you. You might enjoy this. I just didn't. So again, if it was like poorly shot, horrible acting, I'd say stay home. That's not the issue. Again, it's tone, it's narrative. Are you laughing at Peter Stormare's goofiness, or are you annoyed as shit like I was? You're gonna like it or you aren't. So, yeah, Matt Damon, it's interesting to discuss because Matt Damon and Heath Ledger work when it's just like them on their own. But then you start tying in the love interest and that stuff, and they grow divided because of the power of boners. And you're just like, oh no, now they're doing this. I don't want to deal with this headache. And they're going to overcome whatever obstacle it is. The good guys are going to beat the bad guys. The French general is going to get killed, and they're going to, the Wicked Witch is going to die, and she does. And then everything's going to get resolved. The one thing I will give this film, though it's still annoying, is that Peter Stormare's characters, the French general played by Jonathan Pryce, he's the bad guy, and then the Wicked Witch is the bad guy. Peter Stormare is kind of, and then the Brothers Grimm, they're the good guys. Peter Stormare is kind of in the middle. He's not a villain. He doesn't necessarily have an agenda per se. He got hired to do a job. He's doing his job. So he's more of a heavy. That puts him at odds with the Brothers Grimm, but it's not like a personal grudge or something that I could tell. And then at the end, he kind of saves the day to an extent. He's the guy who changes his mind on the issue and starts working with the Brothers Grimm to try to help him out at the very end of the film. I enjoy when films do that. I hate cardboard cutout characters. I hate these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and the bad guys are just bad because they're bad, and good guys are good because they're good, and just go with it. So I like it when you have somebody who's more of a heavy, like Johnny Lawrence at the end of The Karate Kid, where he realizes he's been misled by his coach. It's like that. And I like that. I like they did that with this character. Fuck, was his character annoying. Just, and I imagine the studio was like, make him goofy for the kids. So I don't even put this all on Terry Gilliam, but the film didn't work for different reasons. It didn't work. Some things were interesting, some things, some good visuals in that, and I liked, generally speaking, I like Heath Ledger's performance. That was like a positive in the film, but it didn't work. So I can only say it so many times. Check it out if you're interested in it. I've never heard good things about it though. I think it's more widely regarded as a disaster. So that's it for the Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.